Well, this week is a bust. There's like nothing going on that's really interesting that connects back to a lot of stuff. It's just really updates and like sales numbers that nobody cares about. So we're just gonna go quickly through some kind of updates to stuff. There's not gonna be any like highlight of an indie game or anything. This isn't gonna be that long, but uh, Inzoi, which I talked about, I think like a few weeks ago, which is gonna be like the Sims-like game. Looks pretty decent actually. Will be $40 in early access, which is pretty expensive. But then again, as somebody already said, is the same price as a Sims 4 expansion pack. So whether that stays the price as it goes to launch, we'll see what happens there. It One of the more interesting things about this update was one, the price, of course, but also at the same time that there's a roadmap that's being done. There's supposed to be an update in May with a bunch of improvements. It seems to be much more of like balancing stuff that has already happened. You have the one in August, which looks to be uh, some swimming stuff and more editing skills, and maybe certain like I guess special events is happening. I don't know. And then there's one in October and December, which look to add more stuff and make it much more of a fully fleshed out game. Now, it is available March 28th, so in a couple days. We'll see what happens with them. So I've already talked about it once, and it's nice to see the full price now to see if it's worth it. I mean, some people that like Sims, you'll probably find it fine. I think it's a little expensive, but then again, I don't play Sims either. But in other news and more exciting news for a lot of people like me that are Persona 4 fans, there is a remake announcement looking likely after domain is discovered. So basically, if you don't know, uh, there is a domain that was registered on March 20th, p4re.jp. Uh, it doesn't directly spell out Persona 4 Reload, but it could possibly be the case. For instance, p3re.jp was JP? GAP was registered in 2023, and you got the reload announcement a few weeks later. This is also kind of a perfect time for a remake of Persona 4. If you don't know, Persona 4 is possibly uh, the most hidden of all of them right now, besides the first two, because it just is locked on certain systems. And a lot of people love like Persona 4 Gold and so on and so forth. But when it comes down to it, not enough people have played Persona 4 in my opinion. It's my personal favorite of the series, though that happens to be because it's, you know, the one I finished first. So there's that. Uh, at the same time, I do think it's one of the easier ones, and to a certain degree, really hard to 100%. But I'm very interested to see what Atlas ends up doing, if they're going to end up doing this remake. I know they'll try and avoid Persona 1 and 2, as they always do, but we'll see what happens with Persona 4 with any updates. I'd really hope it is actually around. But ignoring that, we have an app update that will be coming from the Xbox app, which will include or will show you your Steam and Epic games. So it looks like a UI mock-up that will kind of include it, and they're kind of being a little wishy-washy on actually showing the UI. It looks like they removed it. Uh, One of the things that I do want to state uh, about like the actual thing is that this could possibly not be what it is, and it could just be showing that Xbox One will be made available, like all the games made on Xbox One will be made available on PC as well. Or it could be actually talking about the rival platforms having a way to not really lock yourself into just paying for one entry or one entry and then having to pay for it again if you want to play the Steam version or what have you. Uh, but it looks okay from what I've looked at. It's just another way to really look at your total game library. It's good for newer people into video games, honestly, so you can see like if you got in the past like 12 years and all your stuff is like digital locked at this point, it'll be cool to see all of it if it comes to showcase. Which, as you can see, very slow week. There's some stuff that came out that I don't really care for, so we're going to talk about Game Informer. Game Informer is back with its entire team, which is really cool, under Gunzilla Games, and seems to be a hands-off approach that they are taking. And there's kind of just not much to say on this. If you've been around, Game Informer is really important. I think gaming magazines are really important to the history of video games, and I do think there's something special to get your hands on and actually like read for the first time, see screenshots, and usually they would be really good like showcases of pre-release like images back in the day. Nowadays, modernized, it's very unlikely to see leaks of stuff like that. But it was still very cool to like look at like old GTA 3 pictures, and you would see like a face, for instance, in one of the pictures, and be like, "Why is that not there?" Well, it was taken out by Rockstar, and there's a whole mystery that starts from thoughts like that. But ignoring that, we don't really have much more information on Game Informer because it's just another magazine. But it is set to resume activity at some point. But they are also going to be giving more information on subscription and membership options. Overall, it's kind of a iffy situation because they did get, you know, shut down in the middle of a subscription. So, hey, we'll see what happens there. And for a final piece of news, as I said, very, very short. Shadow of Mordor's Nemesis system was only created because of WB Games wanting something to combat Batman Arkham Asylum's secondhand sales. Now, this has always been talked about, basically, in when it first came out anyway, and also in response to kind of Arkham Asylum and really just that section of gaming in general. Before renting and uh, kind of being able to turn in games for the same value if you were quick enough. Before that kind of faded away, there was like a set of 4 years where you could go and you could beat a game and kind of get what you wanted out of a brand new experience and get most of your money back, if not all of it, depending on how well you were like acquainted with the system. Now, it is just cool to kind of see confirmation on it, especially since Monolith is, no more, which really sucks. But we get to kind of see a bit of kind of the current drop and see what's behind it. It Fryer recalls that Batman Arkham Asylum was selling great when it first shipped in 2009, but quickly dropped off. The analytics at WB Games revealed that more people were playing than paying, which means a lot of them were kind of going back to a secondhand retailer and trading in, getting some of their money back, and then those secondhand retailers would sell it for cheap because it's used, and more people would get it from that. Which then goes into the idea of how do we create a single player game that's so compelling that people keep the disc in their library forever. And Fryer says something pretty interesting. Monolith's engine wasn't capable of GTA scale open world at the time, and the team obviously weren't interested in going down a multiplayer route. So Nemesis system was built. It's a interesting little kind of like idea uh, that like kind of blossomed into a well-loved experience for most of this. I would love to see it come back, but of course, because WB Games owns the rights to it, we'll never see it again. And that's it. It was 9 minutes. I'm pretty sure that it looks about 9 minutes. Uh, and that's it for the news on this week. Hopefully, next week's we'll have more interesting stuff, more announcements that I think are more concrete, and a lot of it's just kind of up in the air. There was some stuff I did skip out on, but it's mostly because it's just not important. It's talking about very simple stuff that, like, I've kind of talked about already. So I don't want to double dip. And here's your short little news thing. Hip hip